Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. You know, when I was thinking about, and this is how the show's just going to be packaged from now on, where you toss out what you want to talk about on Facebook, and then I come in and completely upend it and decide I want to talk about something different.
Yeah, and that's fine with me.
But because I really do want to talk to you, since we were, in the last 2 weeks, nothing much has happened in the world. Nothing really important. Weird cabinet picks aside and starting a war with China and all the rest of it. But I do want, and I'm kidding, obviously, but I do want to talk to you about some of the weird foreign policy stuff that Trump has done, since you are the foreign policy guy and you think a lot about this stuff on the show. But before we get to that, talking about party leadership and talking about revamping. So the Democratic Party, regardless of what everybody thinks, and I have to bring this up or else Democratic friends will be mad at me. Nationally, Hillary won the popular vote. That's not how we elect presidents. We need to get over it and see how to make a Democratic message resonate in places where Democrats need to win, and Democrats have historically won. To that end, there's been a lot of hand-wringing and a lot of soul-searching about what the Democratic leadership should look like. We've heard a lot of Bernie folks and a lot of people on the left of the party say, hey, we told you so. We told you that you couldn't bring a centrist in. This is an economic populist year, and we need an economic populist message, and Bernie was certainly resonating. I don't know what to think about that. I don't have any opinions about that because Trump is the president-elect. But the interesting thing that I saw, and that Mike Gronstal has launched a campaign, the ousted Mike Gronstal, former Senate Majority Leader in the Iowa Senate, out of Potawatomi, the district over there, has run for Iowa State Chair. And I don't think about that because on the one hand, we saw this with Pelosi in Washington, D.C. On the one hand, Mike Gronstal has done a great job. He did a great job for Democrats for a long time. Great vote counter, great deal maker. Just, you couldn't really be happier with the work that he did while he was in the Senate if you're a Democrat. On the other hand, what have I been complaining about for 3 years? The lack of a bench in the Democratic Party. And I know a lot of young Democrats that want to take leadership roles. A law school classmate of mine, Sean Bagnevsky, just got elected to the North Side, as chair of the North Side Democrats up over in Beaverdale and my area. And he's a guy that has a lot of institutional support. In fact, his Hillary's announcement commercial, that was at his and his wife Vidya's house. That was the house that she launched her campaign at. So, what direction is the party going to go? Are we going to retrench with these folks, with the folks that got us here? Because it's undeniable that Mike Gronstal and Nancy Pelosi have been people that have brought the Democratic Party to its highest levels back in 04 and 06, and they also presided over the demise. So I don't know what to think. Doc, is it time for the Democrats to have a fire sale on their leadership and go young and try and rebuild like my beloved Chicago Cubs, or do we stick with what used to work and what hasn't worked the last couple of times?
Well, the truth is when you look now, remember, we talked a lot during the show and in between shows about, the numbers. If the voter turnout was low, Trump really had a shot. Plus, Hillary's support was eroding. And if just in the break, we were talking about how a lot of people want to boil this loss down to one thing or this victory into one thing. There's a myriad of things going on. I think Mike Gronstal, honest to goodness, is a tremendous leader. I think he is. He stood up to the Branstad machine. I don't care who you are. Branstad is Iowa's best politician of all time. I don't care how you shake it. And he managed to keep things together this long. And it took, and I don't want to offend you because I've already told you how much I respect Hillary, but it took a candidate who lost the support of her base and a man who refused to back away from the media It took that special storm to get Mike Gronstal out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe it was a slide down. Maybe it was their leadership. I think that if they went with Mike Gronstal, that would be good for the Democratic Party. I also think if they went with some hot young Turk, that would be good for the Democratic Party as well. You know, you get somebody in there who's charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, Matt McCoy? No, it's
yeah.
Matt. Yes, yeah. Matt McCoy.
Yep.
Very charismatic senator, right? Very charismatic. Get somebody along those lines who's well-spoken, knows the issues, gets out there.
A hothead. Democrats haven't had a good hothead in a while because all our hotheads seem to be getting consumed with sex scandals and stuff.
Yes. Well, but you know, like Howard Dean, I mean, you remember Howard Dean self-destructed, and he led the DNC for a long time very well.
Brought us 06.
Yes.
The 50-state strategy.
Yeah.
Put us everywhere. I mean,
and so I think that, yeah, I agree with you. You don't know what to think, but I think regardless of what you do, if Gronstal gets it, I think you guys are going to be in good shape. I think if you get some hot young Turk, you're going to be in good shape. We'll see.
It'll be a completely different kind of tenor and tone.
Well, yeah. The other thing is keep in mind that the Republicans were in this spot 8 years ago. We were actually in a worse spot. And we managed to climb back out.
Well, not statewide.
No, that's true.
I mean,
not
not the 50 state. I don't think the Republicans in recent memory have ever been this sort of backed into a corner across the governors, the legislatures, all three branches of government for the most part. At the federal level, it's the Democrats haven't looked this bad this week. Since, they were running for their lives right after the invasion of Afghanistan. If you remember that. I mean, that was when you had the entire Bush administration calling every Democrat that questioned the war effort a traitor.
Yeah. Not a traitor, but not a patriot. Well, we're up against a break. My brother Joe brings up a pretty good question.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that right after this break. We're going to continue to talk. There's also big news that as soon as we get around to it, we'll tell you. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back after this break. We couldn't do